Hey guys, this is Devin here with Hillbilly Networks. I just wanted to show you real quick some tips on fishing walls. That's one thing I have to do for my job somewhat frequently because we're starting to do fiber to the home, which requires a lot more of that. But anyways, this is my wall. I just got a new TV for it. That bracket was already there. Ignore the electrical mud mess over there. But concerning the what I call horsehair brush outlet on the left, you'll see one at the bottom and the top. I just ran those and I fished the wall, and I'm going to show you real quick a fast way to fish walls. I'm going to pull this string out that I've put in and I'm going to refish it to show you how easy it is to do with this device, even with there being insulation. Now, I will say the insulation that's on here right now, I'm sliding across the paper side. However, I have seen videos online where somebody does it across the opposite. So I'm just gonna start this over fresh. Cut all this out, just like it wasn't even fished. See my string? I'm gonna pull it completely out. All right, so first thing I do is I take this device. It's a magnet. You can see it's got a bunch of knots around here. I would recommend untying those because they could get caught on stuff, but I'm not going to. But I might cut them off. We'll see here. See how much of a pain it's going to be to. I don't have a lot of time because I work a lot, so that's why I don't make a lot of videos. And I can't necessarily make videos at work without it interfering with performance there. Okay. All right, now that I've got that cut, I'm gonna take this magnet. If we went with gravity, it'd be a whole lot easier. I could drop it down and pull it right into that outlet. I'm gonna do it the hard way. And I'm going to go up just to show you how good this works. Now, earlier when I did this, I didn't have my outlets in. To be honest with you, I didn't think to make a video of it. What we're doing here is I'm running this magnet along this wall till it locks on to. Right now, the outlet I've put in is causing it to kind of flex away. So I may have to take that off. Okay, I'll take that off real quick. Called Magnepull that I got recently, and we looked at them about a year ago, and a guy we hired had stated his buddy had used it and he loved it. So this magnet punched through the insulation there because that outlet directed it. I'm gonna keep it on the paper side. If you see the paper in there, it's always gonna move better on that side. Okay, now I'm holding it to the wall with my finger. Now it's attached. You see how strong it is? All right, so now we're gonna take our string. You can just see it's dragging it up. I'm gonna assist it there a little bit until I get past. And sometimes it'll lose it. It's feeding well right now. Okay, so my magnet's all the way up to there now, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove. I'm gonna reach in there and see if I can feel it first, so I don't have to remove this one too, since I've already put it in. Let's see if we can. Fortunately, these little horsehair brush outlets, they have little fins on the back side that make it, in my opinion, just more difficult to work with. And you can see, if you could see the inside, it just came apart. Wish they just had the horsehair brush and it was empty on the back side. But instead, they've got to put these little guides on it that do nothing but make it difficult for you to fish. So we'll take that cover off. And I'm going to take that off too, just like I did on the bottom one. And I should be able to put this horsehair brush back together if it didn't fall in the wall. For this, the only supplies you need for fishing a wall, if you don't have an oscillating saw or something like that, you can use a drywall saw, an actual handheld one, meaning it's not a power tool. But I'll show you here in just a minute something that's made it super easy for me to put in outlets quickly. Which, if you're doing that, the first thing you want to do is make sure there's no electrical lines or water lines or anything like that running behind it, or you're going to have, a bad day. That being the case. Okay, let's see if both of our brushes are in there. Nope, only one is. There it is. I got it. The brush. There we go. See, these come apart. Again, I don't really agree with the design. This is what I was talking about. This makes it to where you can't get your fingers up in there if you've got the outlet put together. So basically, if you can find one that just has this part and it's empty on the back side, but if you notice, these don't stay in without that back piece. But anyways, if you could find one that was just that, it'd make your life a whole lot easier fishing walls. Because to show you this, I had to pull those apart just because that make it so difficult to fish. Now I reach in here with my hand and I can feel the magnet. Which it's grabbing on. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So you see that allowed me to fish a wall in a matter of minutes. Super handy tool. Here's another trick though that I'll show you. One of the things you want to do whenever you're fishing walls to make it easier for yourself in the future and easier for the next guy. Say I sell this house. I leave strings like this in my outlets. That way somebody else can fish a cable through. One of the things you want to do when you're fishing something through is run another string through. So this HDMI cable, you can see it's got the protective coating on it right there, cover. I don't want sheetrock all up in the connections. So I'm going to pull all this off. Not that it's going to matter a whole lot. I cut my string to show you this video, so my string might be too short to show you what I was going to show you, but hopefully not. So I tie this on the end, and a lot of times if you're having something that's a hard pull, you're gonna have to use tape, and there's a special method for tying a knot around it and taping it. That way it's a smooth pull. In this case, it's just going right in front of the paper of the sheetrock. Anyways, I'm gonna take this other end here and I'm gonna tie it right behind this one. This is my end on the ground that's already through the wall, so I'm making a big loop here. A lot of times people will tie on a second string right here. That way when they pull this string out, they've got another string already through there. But say you got this one string, well, here's your saw for that. Come to the bottom, pull your cable through. And when I pull this cable through, I get my HDMI cable, which I feel it. It's hung up on the back of the mud ring. Now when I pull this out, I've got that string, and I've got the other end as well right here. You might want to put some tape behind it so it don't slide up like it just did, because then you're gonna have a hard time getting it out. And now I can untie this string. I've got my cable through, and I've still got a string in there, all from just tying the string basically to itself. I could have done that, you know, that way it doesn't slide up the cable. And that's all there is to it. Let me show you real quick though this other tool I have. So if you've never used an oscillating saw, you flip them on, they vibrate, oscillate back and forth. This is actually made for cutting mud rings in the wall for old construction work where there's drywall and you got to cut a square in it to make an outlet. This one actually makes it a little bigger than the orange mud ring, which I like, because if you take one of the little stencils that has a level on it, which I use that too, and you trace it, it's always too small what you cut. Versus with this, it actually oversizes it a bit. You'll see, you can kind of see the edge of the sheetrock there, but you're not going to see that once you throw the cover on it. So it actually ends up perfect that way. You don't have to do any extra cutting or anything, running your knife along it. You just buzz in once and you kind of rock it back and forth as it's buzzing, and you're through. The only recommendation I would make for you on that is only go through to the exterior side of the sheetrock. What I was talking about, water pipes and water lines, well, I know I got an outlet here, okay? So I know there's some Romex 12-2 running straight down here, somewhere in this range. And with it being old wire, it should have been stapled to the board along in the original construction. But there is always the possibility that it was new and there's just a piece strung across. And in this case, that is a newer outlet, so that's a possibility. However, the stud is right here, so I know my wire. I know that because I did the work. So again, ignore that muddy mess. It's definitely not something I would be proud of, but I know that wire comes around like that, so I know it's not on this side. What I don't know is I don't know if there's water lines or anything like that. However, based on the location in the house, there should be no reason for there to be a water line running down the wall right here. A lot of that has to do with just knowing construction and how water lines are run, electric lines are run, whether the service is overhead coming from the attic or it's coming from underground, from the electrical panel, if you've got gas lines and stuff like that. But there's always that bit of unsureness, and there's a couple of tricks I've found over time you can do. If you're going to drill a hole through a wall, one thing you do, make a tiny little hole, put your little screwdriver, push it, and you can feel if there's anything behind it or if it's just empty. You can also twist it and you can kind of tell what you're cutting into on the other side. If you're hitting drywall on the other side, or if you're hitting concrete, it gives you a different texture feel when you twist that screwdriver head. But as far as cutting holes, whether it's with a hole saw or it's with an oscillating saw, because a lot of people use a 2-inch hole saw and they'll just make one hole and they'll slap this cover straight on top of the hole, and they won't put this motoring in. It's quicker, but that's not the professional way to do it. So I like to do this. But either of those routes you go, no matter if you know something's behind the wall or not, go to just the edge of the sheetrock. And you can tell, you know the depth of the sheetrock, you know, whether it's 1/2 inch or, you know, thinner. You can just kind of buzz in there a little bit. And a lot of times you can just take it and kind of thump it like that, and it'll fall through once you've got it far enough. Don't thump it. If you've got to thump hard, don't. You'll end up taking a chunk of sheetrock out. That means you need to cut a little bit more. And you can also take a knife and scratch it around the outside, score it, and then try to knock it in. And at that point, you can reach your hand in there and just kind of feel around and feel, oh, there's sheetrock. Oh, there's a water line. Oh, there's an electrical line. And you know that. I was putting up a mirror in my bathroom because one had come off the wall that's been there for 20 years. I had to relocate an outlet as a result of it. Putting in that outlet, there was a water line running sideways behind the mirror, and I didn't know that was there, but I didn't cut into it. And the reason why I did not cut into it is, again, I barely went to depth, stuck my hand in there, felt, and I'm like, oh, there's a water pipe. So going only as far as you need to, or just shy of that, will save you a lot of issues with hitting things you don't want to hit in a wall, whether it's in commercial or residential. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Again, sorry I don't make a lot of videos, but I hope this is helpful to somebody. Thank you.